हेलो फ्रेंड्स, केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको द प्रोलॉग बाय जॉफ्री चौसर के एक्सप्लेनेशन के बारे में बताएंगे। NOGST नोट से लेके .TECHE लाइन्स 305 to 309 important. These lines which occur in Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales explain the nature and character of the Clerk of Oxford. The clerk was a lover of learning. He had little liking for worldly pleasure. He preferred books of philosophy to rich robes and harp or fiddle. Whatever he got from his friends, he spent it on books and learning. Chaucer tells that the clerk of Oxford used words very miserly. In other words, he spoke only as much as was necessary. He never spoke even a single superfluous word. Whatever he said, it was said in due form and with due reverence. His sentences were short, alive, and full of deep meaning. Besides this, his speech always tended to be moral in tone. In short, Chaucer tells that the sole pleasure of the clerk lay in learning and teaching and not mere talking. The clerk of Oxford was a real lover of knowledge, but he did not believe in the vain show of his scholarship. He had a thirst for knowledge which was never quenched, but those who were equally eager to learn like him, he would gladly teach, and it was expected from the scholars. The clerk of Oxford was true to his calling. टू लाइवेन से लेकर कॉन्ट्री लाइन्स 336 to 341 important. These lines refer to the habits and hospitality of the Franklin in Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales. The Franklin, who was a free tenant of the crown, had a ruddy expression with a daisy white beard. He loved a cake dipped in wine for his breakfast. The Franklin loved a life of delight. Chaucer calls him as the very son of Epicurus. Epicurus, the Greek philosopher, thought pleasure as the highest good in life. Following the doctrine of Epicurus, the ex-Franklin held that life's true delight lay in sensuous pleasure. Therefore, he was a great householder. He had his house well equipped with the means of pleasures and delight. Again, Chaucer calls him as a Saint Julian in his country. He means to say that in hospitality he was a Saint Julian. Epicurus actually advocated that pleasures of the spirit were better than those of the body. But the medieval conception of Epicurus was not quite fair. In course of time, his philosophy came to be misinterpreted, and people began to believe that Epicurus advocated the glorification of sensual pleasure. Chaucer's Franklin also had the same conception in his mind. Saint Julian was the patron of hospitality. He was eminent for providing his votaries with good lodgings and accommodation of all sorts. Saint Julian's name was subsequently given to many houses of rest for travelers, and this Franklin's hospitality was so great that his house is likened to one of these by Chaucer's. WYD वाइड से लेकर TAUGHTE टॉट लाइन्स 492 to 498 important. These lines which describe the Chaucers of the person have been extracted from Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales. The person in The company of the pilgrims was rich in holy thought and work. He was well versed in Christ's gospel, which he would earnestly preach to his parishioners. He was diligent but wonderfully patient in adversity. He was sympathetic towards his poor parishioners, whom he would help out of his own goods and offerings. Here Chaucer refers to the devotion and sincerity of the person towards his pupil. His parish was extensive and the houses were situated far apart, but he visited them all. He did not neglect, in spite of rain and thunder or sickness or any other misfortune, to visit those living farthest away in the parish. He did not make any distinction between great and small or rich and poor. He would visit them all on foot with a staff in his hand. Chaucer means to emphasize the point that his person always set such a noble example of his prisoners that he was ever first to act them to preach. He did not believe in mere preaching hypocritically by acting himself. He set this noble example to his sheep so that their words also might not be contradictory to their deeds. In the character of the poor person, Chaucer eulogizes the industrious secular clergy, with an implied contrast to the lazy evil lines of the monks and possibly to the politically dissatisfied clergy, of whom John Wall is the most famous. It has also been suggested that his brother, the plowman, is meant as a contrast to the rebellious labourer of the peasants' revolt. The metaphor of the sheep is from the Bible. In the Bible, a person is likened to a shepherd and his followers to a flock of sheep. नेक्स्ट है 4 if से लेकर sold live lines 502 to 507 important. These lines, which describe the character of the person, have been extracted from Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales. The person in the company of the pilgrims was rich in holy thought and work. He was sympathetic towards his prisoners, whom he would gladly help out of his own goods and offerings. Without discriminating between the rich and the poor, he would visit every house in his parish. In spite of all hindrance, Chaucer tells that the person believed in the gospel, that a priest should first act and then preach. He used to say that if gold gets rusty, what would be the fate of iron? For if a priest in whom people trust should go to the evil way, it is no wonder that common men should become infected according to him. It was quite shameful to see if a priest would but pay heed thereto a defiled shepherd and a clean flock. In other words, if a priest becomes corrupt, it is quite natural for his followers to follow his example. Therefore, Chaucer observes a priest should set an example by his noble and clean life, how his sheep followers should live. Chaucer presents the character of the person in marked contrast with the lazy and evil practices adopted by the monk. He is very much unlike the other ecclesiastical characters in the prologue. ही WOLD वर्ल्ड से लेके SEYDE सीड ही लाइन्स 656 to 660 important. These lines have been extracted from the Chaucer's portrait of the Sumners in Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales. The Sumners was a rogue and wanton fellow. Under the influence of liquor, he would loudly cry like a mad fellow. He was such a slave of liquor that for a quart of wine he would lend his mistress to his friend for a year and would not mind it. Chaucer here threw light on the lascivious and immoral life that the Sumners led in his day. The Sumners to whom Chaucer refers could cheat the innocent mads secretly if they found a fellow rascal like himself. He would advise him not to have any kind of fear in case he were leading an evil life of the Archdeacon unless his soul was in his purse. Chaucer means to say that as long as the man was not miser, he had nothing to fear from the Archdeacon threatening him with hellfire, because all he had to do was to pay a fine. His soul was not in danger, only his pocket was. The money extorted was all the hell to be feared for the Archdeacon's curse. Chaucer's observation implies that the Sumner and the Archdeacon worked for the pocket of each other. The Archdeacon used to extract fines from the sinners. The Sumners could get an excuse from the Archdeacon for them with the help of money. So the sinner did not need to fear the curse of the Archdeacon so long as his pocket was full. But with से लेकर एप्स तक लाइन्स 703 to 708 important. These lines describe the character of the pardoner in Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales. The pardoner was a trafficker in papal pardons or indulgence like several other ecclesiastical characters. Chaucer's pardoner was also a rogue and immoral character who had earned a lot of money through foul means. He misused his rights as a pardoner by using various objectionable devices to sell his pardons. For example, he had a pillowcase in his bag which he would tell people that it was Virgin Mary's bell. He had a cross made of copper and zinc, and in a glass pig's bones. Chaucer tells that pardoner used the spurious relics in order to impress the people. When he found a poor person in the country, by exhibiting these relics he got more money in a day than the person could do in 2 months. Thus, with feigned flattery and jest, he made the person and his followers his dupes. Chaucer means to say that the pardoner was cunning enough to impress upon the person and other parishioners that he had some genuine relics of saint and that he was not an ordinary pardoner. Therefore, these people got befooled by him and gave gift in the form of money to him. In Chaucer's days, the pardoners adopted all sorts of malpractices in the name of selling pardons. Chaucer's pardoners made particularly the person his prey. Pardoners, in fact, were quite unpopular with country persons who saw their next week's collection disappear into the pardoner's purse. Thanks, best of luck.